Let me be clear.
Can't believe this is happening
I'm
again.
not 100% negative on Resident Evil 6. There are some things that I do think are cool.
Yeah,
For
never
example,
forget it.
a university
We're
being
going to the
used for a
conclusion
political
reports.
reception.
But if you
That's a
really
cool
did have to
setting
handle
for a
this,
Resident
I
Evil
could kiss
level.
your freedom goodbye.
Something's gonna jump out. I just know it. Oh god, a white woman. I might just be a naive Canadian, but what campus has a metal detector? Uh, actually, I guess the president was speaking here. It makes sense to have those. Hey, get off me, you. Okay, Helena, on which tracks? Ah, these tracks. This entire mission is clearly evoking Leon's first day in Raccoon City, right down to the gun store being one of the first places you visit. But honestly, this reminds me a lot more of Outbreak than of Resident Evil 2. It's like an hour into the game, and we've already done the wait in an area and kill a horde before a door can open bit twice. Great gameplay variety, guys. You're doing great.
Great. Another puzzle to solve.
I don't know that this is a puzzle. You just need to put in every numerical permutation of the three numbers, and then you're done. It's pretty easy.
Next security system.
I'm sorry, did that booger pile just birth a new body snatchers-esque Ada Wong? I'll be honest, I don't remember any of the story for this game. And I certainly don't remember this. I really don't understand why Resident Evil 5 and 6 doubled down on catacomb exploring. Like, it was there in 4, but it fit. It makes sense to be going through that in Europe, especially when it's all attached to, like, an old castle. Not in America. It feels less like I'm playing a Resident Evil game, and more like I'm watching a National Treasure movie. Yet another wait until the door opens by killing a horde section. How unique. Perform stroke. Hey, I had a teacher in high school who also had that button prompt. For those of you not keeping track of the story, the President of the United States turned into a zombie, so Leon shot him. And now the evil head of NatSec is trying to accuse Leon of treason. So Leon and Helena have faked their deaths so they can go to China to fight the C virus. And yes, that is a real thing that you do in this game. You go to China to fight the C virus. Get off my plane. So this is a fun set piece, but I feel like throwing a bioweapon that expels gas out the back of an airplane is a terrible way of dealing with that problem. Beautiful landing. Just like Nick Cage would have done. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember if it was Nick Cage or John Cusack. It's been a while since I watched Con Air. The point is, it looks like the end of Con Air where they land on the Vegas strip. Oh my god, I forgot that you have to go through an actual wet market. You go to China and you fight the C virus in a wet market. This is a real thing that you do in this video game from like 2013. So, Simmons took a drug that turned him into an immortal dinosaur, but for some reason, you turn back into a human after being shot enough. Which is unfortunate for Simmons, because being a dinosaur seems pretty cool. But it's fortunate for us, because it lets us just beat his ass. Ah, my favorite Resident Evil character, Jeff Goldblum. Simmons, you fool. You know what happens to a fly when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing as everything else. Okay, but honestly, I think that the head of NatSec having a plan to release a virus into China is way more condemning to the US's credibility than the president's plan to be transparent about Raccoon City. Kinda shot yourself in the foot there, Simmons. Still unclear on what the deal was with Deborah and Helena and Simmons. Is this one of those things where I just have to do some reading in the main menu to find out what was really going on with the game's story?
I'm ready.
Alright, on to Chris's campaign.
Listen, sweetheart. You're here to pour drinks and look pretty. So how about you shut your mouth?
I think it was a really cool decision to turn Chris into a weird, alcoholic asshole. A very nice character decision. If the enemies didn't mutate, this level would be indistinguishable from most generic army third-person shooters. Is the capturing of these UN hostages part of Simmons' plan? Or is this a completely separate but coincidental thing that's happening so the BSAA can be in China? Okay, but seriously, put this in first person and how is this different from a Call of Duty mission?
My rifle's not gonna cut it. I need something with more kick.
Oh, I thought you needed something bigger. What just happened there? Why did the tank explode?
Sherry Birkin, National Security.
Sherry Birkin, you were in Raccoon City.
How do you know that?
Claire,
Wait, are you Chris?
my sisters told me all about you.
Wait, in all that time between 2 and 6, Chris and Sherry have never met? Ever?
Who are you?
I work here. My name's Ada Wong. They held me hostage.
Resident Evil has a lot of stupid moments of characters not knowing each other, but Chris should know about Ada Wong. Even if he never met her personally, he should recognize the name. Chris says in RE5 that he read Leon's report of what happened in Europe. Her name must have come up at least once. Also, Claire has to have talked to him about Raccoon City. And even if, she never met Ada, Leon would have told her about Ada. Leon probably would have told Chris about Ada, too. Bioterror can wait. I gotta ride this panda. Yeah. Ride the panda. I would like to know the thought process behind having a giant invisible snake for this mission. Why is it here? Resident Evil Zero asked the question, what if a man was made of slugs? Now Resident Evil 6 asks the follow-up question, what if a man was made of bees? A question that was already answered in Snake Eater. Oh, I forgot there was a turret mission. Could Chris's campaign get any more generic army shooter if it tried? Why would you have this here? It feels like a liability to have when anyone can just go up to it and fire it into the ship. You know, I kind of feel like I shouldn't have done that. The only crime that guy committed was having good hygiene. I shouldn't have done that. In Resident Evil 5, I talked about how if there's a boat level in a Resident Evil game, it's going to be bad. And I'd like to submit this level as further evidence.
Ever since Adonia, all I've wanted is to see you dead. This isn't about vengeance. It's about justice.
I can't kill you, Ada. I have a character arc now. Oh no, it's Chaos from Sonic Adventure. And he's got the skull with eyes from the cover of Evil Dead 2. What a memorable boss. I remember this now. Right. This is the BOW versus BOW fight that's not as interesting or cool as the concept suggests. I don't understand how this was more dangerous than Ada's missile plan. I mean, two dudes killed it with knives. Just drone strike it and you're all good. I feel like Pier's sacrifice should have been to hold that big water monster back. Like, that would have been more dramatic. You're just gonna leave? You only had one bite of your steak. What a waste. On to campaign number 3. Jake and Sherry. Alright, let's break this guy's neck. Oh shit, we got suplexes? Don't remember that. Automatically makes Jake one of the cooler characters.
I'll find another way. Just don't wander off too far.
Don't worry. I ain't running until I get my money.
I know that Troy Baker has a long and seasoned career, but every time he speaks, I only hear kanji. This beautiful fellow is Ustanak. Get used to him. We're going to fight and run away from him a lot. He's basically the Nemesis or Mr. X for Jake and Sherry's campaign. Now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of these Ustanak fights feel like rehashes of Tyrant fights from past games. Fought him in a construction site, just like the Nemesis fight in 3. This fight feels like a rehash of the fight with the Tyrant in the back of the plane from Code Veronica. How convenient that the two children of the men who caused most of the series' problems would have to work together. Oh god, I remember this mission now.
Okay. First we find the
This
data,
is one of the
then
worst
we'll
ones in the
take it from
game. I hate these snipers. The dodge timing is so finicky. Did not mean to do that. Well, it was kind of fun though. Now I gotta go all the way back up that hill. I completely forgot about this part too. Further evidence that Capcom can't recreate the cabin sequence well. Whoa, I just windmilled that dude. Fear my unclothed combos, you mask-wearing losers. Oh, no, I thought that prompt meant inspect. I didn't want to start playing piano in the middle of a firefight. Yeah, I deserved that. Oh, missed my turn. Okay. Very cool. So this is the worst campaign, right? Man, remember how good the Final Fantasy VII motorcycle chase was? Had weird, catchy music, it was a fun little minigame, and then in the remake it became that whole epic set piece where you meet the hotshot on the bike, and then you do it again on the expressway.
Oh my god! Jake!
That's how you really do a motorbike chase in your game. Oh man, I got Project Aid.
Jake! Are you
Now I know how Jackie Chan feels. I can't believe that I forgot about the flesh chainsaw. One of the few cool things from this game. Alright. Ustanak fight number 4. 5 if you count this fight from Leon and Helena's campaign. Okay, well, I'm dead. Now I'm definitely dead. Or not? What the hell just happened?
How is he still standing?
Are you kidding? How am I still standing? If I had $1 for every level of Jake and Sherry's campaign where our gear was stolen and we had to fight hand to hand until we got the gear back, I would have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's one too many for this length of a campaign. That's right, it's time for yet another Ustanak fight. How did he get to this underwater secret base if he was just pinned under a electrical tower in China? Who knows? But this is the last level and you gotta fight him somewhere. Wow, there's so much skill and variety needed to win this fight. What a satisfying conclusion to this rivalry. I've given this game a lot of shit, but I do genuinely really like this moment. Two people having to use their strength to steady the gun together always gets me. It's almost always a good moment. Final campaign. It's Ada time.
Well, that was a pain in the ass.
That wasn't even a hard puzzle, Ada. Well, that level wasn't terrible, but I would still add it to the list of bad Resident Evil levels that take place on ships. Is it bad that I know how to solve this puzzle mainly because of one of the traps in Saw 5? I feel like that's a poor frame of reference. This hallway, with these enemies, feels a lot like the asylum at the start of Dark Souls 1. I feel like I should turn to my right and see the asylum demon, you know? Simmons' family crest kind of looks like a snake eating itself. And if that's the intention, then the virus he unleashed really should have been Ouroboros. I'm sorry that your sister got caught up in this, Helena. However, I'm not sorry enough to not do sick-ass elbow drop combos on her. Are we going to watch the happy birthday tape again? Did Leon rewind it after he watched? So let me get this straight. Simmons created a clone of Ada Wong. Then that clone went rogue and is trying to destroy the world and is using the real Ada Wong as a scapegoat. This is a little silly. Now this is gameplay. Hey Chainsaw Man, you know what my favorite Bob Dylan album is? Blood on the Tracks. 40% of Ada's levels are stealth missions on boats. That's too high of a percentage.
Happy birthday, Ada Wong.
Now I get it.
Okay, so Ada, or Carla, is a clone of Ada Wong that was mixed with a researcher's DNA, probably also named Carla. And it sounds like Simmons did this because Ada won't go out with him. Oh no, she's made of this stuff. Carla, I can tell that you're a little angry. You need to chill out. Even by my standards, that's a weak one. I can do better than that. Alright, Simmons, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you the exact same way that Leon did. And it's definitely not because Capcom didn't want to make a second set of animations for this fight. So, Simmons fell in love with Ada, and had a researcher working for him named Carla. And he pulled a Vertigo and turned Carla into Ada using Carla's DNA. And that clone grew to resent him and secretly brought the Umbrella Corporation back to life under the name Neo Umbrella, and was planning to destroy the world. I think I have that all cleared up. I'm still confused on how her plans to destroy the world and Simmons' plans to spread a virus through China work. There's obviously overlap, but it sounds like Simmons isn't a part of Neo Umbrella. I'm still so confused. I've been trying to think of how to contextualize what doesn't work about this game in comparison to 4, and I think I've figured it out. Resident Evil 1 is to Alien, as Resident Evil 2 is to Aliens. Resident Evil is creeping and looming and dreadful, and it's very selective with its scares. It's reserved, just like Alien. whereas Resident Evil 2 is more action focused than its predecessor. And Resident Evil 2's not subtle about this connection either. I mean, you got Claire, who becomes the protective mother figure to Sherry, just as Ripley does to Newt. You got Leon, someone with training who's thrust into a situation that they're not remotely ready for. Sort of a combo of Hudson and Hicks and Vasquez and really all the Marines. You've got Ada, who's working for the company and trying to save the virus so they can make money off of it, just like Burke. Hell, even the endings do the same. Ripley and crew fly away from LV-426 as it explodes, and just when they think they're safe, the Xenomorph Queen appears to attack them. Just like how Claire, Leon, and Sherry escape as the lab explodes, and then are attacked by Birkin on the train. Anyway, my point is that you can't compare Resident Evil 4 and 6 using the same series, but you can with a different one. I think that the problem with Resident Evil 6 is that Resident Evil 4 is to Lord of the Rings trilogy as Resident Evil 6 is to the Hobbit trilogy. Resident Evil 4 is masterfully paced. It's got likable characters. It's essentially one really long escort mission, and it feels like an adventure with memorable parts, just like Lord of the Rings. Resident Evil 6 has terrible pacing. It's stretched way too thin, like butter spread over too much bread, and it's got characters that you already know that they're not as interesting in this context. And it doesn't really feel like an adventure. It just feels like a conveyor belt of set pieces, just like the Hobbit movies. I don't know if that comparison made sense. I'm shooting this from the hip. It'd probably make more sense if I actually wrote it out and thought it over more. This just clicked in my head while I was playing Ada's campaign.